imagine that we woke up in a world that had achieved all the sustainability goals. We'd be in a place where there was no poverty, no hunger, a world where men and women were equal, where we had access to all the clean energy we required, and a world that provided justice and peace for everyone. What an amazing place that would be. And I think as you think about these goals, we realize how far away we are from them. And that fifth goal of gender equality, that's the one that I believe will make the difference for the future. Because unless half the world's population, who are actually women, step up and take their place with men, it will be very hard for us to build the world that we need in the future. And I think that every government and every company can do its part. I'm the global vice chair of Mastercard, and I know that our company can do a lot to change the world. And one of the reasons for this is that we actually reach 3 billion people on the planet with our products and services. And we're a company who has committed to financial inclusion. Back in 2015, we made a commitment to the World Bank that we would bring in 500 million people to the financial system. Many of those were women, because women are more excluded than men. We reached that goal in 2020, but we didn't stop there. We said, let's go after the next 500 million. So now our target is 1 billion for 2025. And included in that, we're reaching the next 50 million small to medium-sized business owners. And in the normal course of business, about 1/3 of those would be women-led. But we also said, why should we settle for 1/3? Let's just change the game. Let's change the playing field. So we're actually going after 25 million women-led companies. In other words, 50% of the target. And why is this so important? It's important because nobody wants to work in a world where companies don't have a purpose. We're in a world now of stakeholder, not just shareholder management. We need to care whether we're working in a society that is equitable, that people are treated fairly, and we need to think about what we're delivering for our own people, for our customers, and for society at large. And in Mastercard, we know that 85% of the day-to-day buying decisions are made by women. And so women as consumers have tremendous power to change what we do around the world. And they are an incredible group, market segment, a power that we think about as we design our products and services. But we've lived with COVID for the last 2 years, and that hasn't been good for women around the world. Our research shows that women are 3 times more likely to be balancing their career. And when I say caring, I'm talking about for children, perhaps being homeschooled, and caring for parents. And often it's both things at the same time. And yet 37% of the global GDP is generated by women, and we need them to be successful. Women have been twice as likely as men to open new businesses during the pandemic. And yet, when we did our Mastercard index for women around the world, what we found was 80% of the SMEs and entrepreneurs we talked to said they didn't have the funding they needed for their businesses. Let's get them that funding, because we really need them to succeed for the global economy and for everyone. But it's not just funding, it's access to technology. And the World Wide Web Foundation has said that men have over 20% more access to the internet than women have. And the cost of that is large. Across 32 countries alone, the cost was $126 billion in 2020. This is a gender gap that we can't afford to perpetuate. And if we did have the access to technology, it doesn't stop there. We need to train people. We need to build confidence. We need to help people make the right decisions about the tools and the services they need to run their businesses. And many governments are looking at this, including my own government in the UK with the Help to Grow programme. And Mastercard's thinking about it in the UK as well, working with 650,000 SMEs across the country to digitize them. And let's face it, we've had an explosion of digital products during COVID, and that's a good thing. And in this case, necessity has definitely been the mother of invention. We've needed to go online into the virtual world to buy our products and services, to communicate with each other as we're doing right now. And all over the world, people are using technology to solve the big problems of today, whether that's in the biotech industries, for example, the invention of vaccines. I'm very proud that the AstraZeneca vaccine was invented by a woman in the UK. I'm not so proud that we haven't figured out a fair distribution of vaccines around the world. It's also things like streaming services, the one that we're using today, but also the ones that President Zelensky is using to stream into Congress, to stream into British Parliament, the EU, and this morning the Australian Parliament, to discuss what he needs for his country right now. And it's things like social media, where his wife Alina is talking to her 2.8 million Instagram followers about the plight of children in hospitals or fleeing the country. All of these things allow us to see the world and allow us to think about what we can do to move it in the right direction. And of course, in my own business, there's the digital payments, which have been phenomenal. In the first 2 months of COVID, we saw a spike in transactions that we had never seen in the previous 10 years. And we forged ahead with tools for cybersecurity, fraud prevention, to actually allow us to deal with our volumes, which sometimes come in at 1 billion transactions a day, in real time, to be able to use artificial intelligence to detect fraud and prevent it. And then there's green tech, wind power, solar, nuclear, and all the things that we need for the future. And I think the key thing here is that we have to think about women playing their part in all of these technologies. In the case of climate change, we don't want to just think about women as the victims. Indeed, women are the victims and will be the victims in future in many parts of the world, but they can also be actors. And our research with Oliver Wyman and the 30% Club has shown that almost 40% of the world's wealth is moving into the hands of women. And as women become investors, They think about investing in sustainability, and this is a good thing. They're twice as likely to think about this, according to research. And also, as consumers, going back to that 85% buying power, they're more likely to ask about supply chains, fair trade, whether the goods are produced ethically. And this can only be a good thing. And so at Mastercard, we are doing our best to connect women to the digital and financial system, to educate them and on the tools that they can use to manage their business, to help them get funding through the partners that we work with around the world, and to provide safe environments for their businesses, whether that's providing cyber security tools or whether it's coming up with principles about the way the data should be handled to give privacy and to give control to the business owners and to consumers. So we're doing all this because we hope that one day we wake up in a world that achieved its sustainability goals. And I hope that that world comes to us sooner than later. Thank you very much.